work for small business. And so if you'll just leave us alone, we'll heal the economy.
Nationally syndicated radio talk show host and New York Times best-selling author Dave Ramsey.
In the last decade, Fortune 500 companies have contributed a net decrease of 18 million jobs to the economy. During that same period of time, privately held small businesses employing 500 people or less have contributed a net increase of 2 million jobs to the economy. You are the economy! You're where jobs come from. People get to eat. People have a place to stay. People get their water heaters fixed. They get coffee served to them. They get their cars repaired. They're served food because you had a dream. Because you got up one morning and decided you were going to leave the cave, kill something, and drag it home. I'm honored to be with you guys today. This is going to be a fun day. Woo! You guys are already a great crowd. We're going to have a great time together. I love teaching this because I've been going to things like this since I was 14 years old, and I have a pet peeve of people who speak about things that they don't do. It's called hypocrisy. And but I'm the CEO of our organization. We'll hire 140 people this year. We're currently at 477. We started on a card table in my living room 23 years ago. I was in meetings this week dealing with crap, just like you were. Drama and crazy people. Y'all have it too?
Yeah.
And I'm in there trying to figure out how to have a conversation with the marketplace, and somebody on my team's eyes are crossed going, I don't know. I'm like, you look like a deer in the headlights. We're out here trying to win. It's a fairly simple equation. Felt need, meet it. My gosh, why is this hard? But it is hard. It's hard. It's hard to figure out all the nuances and the details and the moving parts and variables and the outside things coming at us and the inside problems inside of our character, and all these things come together and we're trying to do business in the midst of it. And I do it every day, just like you do. Yes, I am the product, or one of the products in our place, but I'm also the CEO. I also own the freaking place. So I'm in there with you guys fighting and scrapping and clawing every day, and what we're going to share with you today is our playbook. And it's ever evolving because we're evolving. We're different than we were 10 years ago in our company. We've learned things. We find something stupid, it leaves a mark. We don't try not to do that one again, And so half the stories around us are just dumb things we've done. I've got a PhD in DUMB, So what happened to us, there was about 10 of us in our organization. How many of you are 10 or less right now? There's about 10 of us. And we were growing like crazy, still are, obviously, but in those days, growing like crazy was adding 2 to 10. That's 20% growth, you know what I'm saying? But I looked up and realized that I had 10 people, including me, all of which had 6 jobs. Because when there's 10 of you, you don't have like one little specialization, unless you have a weird company. When you first start, you're the CEO, the chief everything officer, right? I mean, you're unloading the books and you're stacking stuff, and you're setting up the scans, and you're typing, you're trying to figure out how accounting works, and when it's just you, and then when there's 10 of you, each of you got 4 or 5 jobs, and so I'm trying to lead 1 to 10, and I can tell you, I don't know if it wasn't working. It's hard to lead 10 people, one person. It's almost impossible. As a matter of fact, there's tons of studies that show about a 1 to 5 ratio is about all you can pull off. The military actually sets up almost all of their organizational structure that way. It's in the Bible. In Exodus, Moses was trying to judge the people of Israel, approximately 1,000,002 of them by himself, and his father Jethro came to him and he said, son, you're going to kill yourself. And there's a whole organizational chart that they put together on how the people of Israel were governed from that point forward. And it's about a 1-to-5 ratio, and it gets all the way down. From the federal government to the state government to the city government to the local community, all the way down to the freaking HOA, right? I mean, there's this whole process of getting the group small enough that we can lead them well. And so I had 3 guys. I had 3 guys that were starting to help, and they were really starting to kind of stick their head up and show that they were going to be able to lead. And so I really started pouring into them, mentoring them, getting them where they could finish my sentences. And pretty quickly, they could lead. Now, leading means that if, as the owner, I turn and walk away, they do stuff the way I would have done it. That's, you don't turn around, you don't go, say what? You don't have that, right? You gotta go walk away and stuff's being done the way you would do it, and it's not because everybody's afraid, it's because they get it, right? So we kind of got to that point where quickly we went to 40 people. Now we got the same problem again, there's 4 of us leading 40 people, that's 1-to-10 ratio, it doesn't work. So we're growing so fast, I mean, it's not like I have a little niche or anything, we get people out of debt. You know, me and Jenny Craig, we got a lot of work to do, you know, so it's not a small niche market. It's like breathing humans are my market. So the thing is just exploding. It's going crazy. And so we got to, hiring outside leaders felt real weird. So how do we grow leaders faster internally so that doesn't become the lid that keeps us from our ability to grow? Because if you don't lead well, everything falls apart. You poison the well. Customers don't like you because you're not doing a good job. All this stuff. So you got to have leadership going internally. So I'm working on this, and I found out when in doubt, what a teacher does is he teaches. And so what I did was, I said, all right, anybody in the group that wants to learn leadership, any of you that want to learn about how to run a business the way we're running this business, and hint, if you ever want to be in leadership here, you probably ought to have that information. I'm going to start teaching class on Tuesday nights at 5 o'clock. We close the offices at 5:30. I'm going to teach from 5 to 6, 30 minutes on me, 30 minutes on you. And we're certainly not going to charge you for it, but you don't have to come, but if you ever want to lead here, you got to come. And Brown knows you doesn't count. You really got to come and do this stuff. So, a bunch of people showed up, and at the end of the first night when I was teaching, and it wasn't anything fancy, I got off the radio at 4 o'clock, I just typed out a lesson about advertising. This is how we buy advertising, or about marketing, or this is how I believe about selling, or this is hiring and firing, and over the years the lessons developed, but they were just pretty thrown together at first, and I'd type them out, and I'd run them off on the copier, and run in there and hand them out to everybody, get an overhead projector, you remember those? And that's how we started doing this, 15, almost 20 years ago. And after the first lesson, the guy came up and he goes, hey, my wife's a real estate agent. She'd love to sit in on this. Do you mind? And I said, oh, that's fine. No big deal. Just got to run a copy. And right behind us, a guy standing there, he goes, hey, the lady standing there, she said, my husband's a personal trainer. He'd like to come. Can he sit in? Yeah, sure. Next week, the guy says, hey, my pastor, really, I was telling him about this hiring and firing. And he's like, we need to do better operationally at the church. We want to learn how to do better business at the church. And he wants to sit in. Sure, no problem. And it wasn't long until I looked up, and there were more people sitting there that didn't work for me than did. Now, I'm not real smart, but I think we can settle this. So, here you are, right? So, but that's how this started. That's exactly how this started. Now, here's an exercise I went through at the time. Because I was scarred in college. How many of you have a business degree or a master's in business, either one? If you were, then you went to management class at some point to learn how to manage from a tenured professor who's never made a payroll. And that leaves a mark. You're psychologically scarred for life. And so when I hear leadership, I intellectually understand. I mean, I'm 54 years old. This is a while back. I was in college, right? But I intellectually understand that leadership is not that old management class. The real leadership isn't. But when I hear a leadership, somebody says, I teach leadership, I go, oh, God, you're that professor, That's the first thing that goes through my spirit, right? And so I didn't want to call this leadership. And yet, it is about leadership, isn't it? As a matter of fact, let's do a little exercise for a moment. Just sit right where you are. But I want you to think for a minute with me. If you I want you to think of someone who's a great leader, that you know personally, or you think they're a great leader from a distance, or you've read a book about it, I don't care. But think of someone or a couple of someone that personify great leadership. You got them in your mind? Now, I want you to think of a one-word character quality that comes to mind instantly about that person. When you think of great leadership, what is a one-word character quality that comes to mind? Now, when you, no, yeah, but I can't do 63 people, I'm too deaf. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Yes, ma'am.
Inspired.
Inspired, good.
Integrity.
Integrity, very good.
Ethics.
Ethics, good, good. Creative, good. I'm sorry? Servant? Okay, good, good, yes, ma'am. Confident, very good, yes, ma'am. Passionate, good, yes. Decisive, good. Here's what's interesting, y'all. I've done this thousands of times in the last 20 years. This exercise we just did. Sometimes I take longer, sometimes I don't. But the answers are always the same, so much so that they're in your book. Open your book. And none of you are looking at your book, so I didn't call on anybody that cheated. But isn't that interesting? Integrity, passionate, servant, humble, charismatic, disciplined, influential, visionary. Some of you use slightly different words, but that's what you said leadership is. Now let me help you with this. I told you early on, I'm about application. I do this stuff every day. This is not about theory. This is what people think leadership is. Everyone that has good walking around sense says that's leadership. To the extent that's not you, you suck. If you're going to lead, and you say, I'm the leader of our organization, I'm the CEO of our organization, I'm the CFO, the COO, I'm the C something or other, I got boss on my card, I'm leading, this better be you. The good news is you can just decide to be any one of those right now. I've been to the hospital a lot when babies are born. They always come out and they say, it's a boy, it's a girl. Leaders are not born. They never come out and go, it's a leader. You ever heard the phrase born leader? You know what that is? A lie. There's no such thing. When I started out doing this stuff at 32 years old, I was a boss. I was not a leader. I was horrible. Nasty bad. Bosses push. Leaders pull. I had to make a decision for the good of all the work I needed to get done, and that I couldn't do it by myself, and was the most efficient, effective, and rewarding way to cause that to happen. Leading others. And I had to make a decision to become more of that and less of stupid. And you can just decide. You can just decide. Now, how many of you look at that list and you see a couple of those like I see that you could work on? One of them's humble. Get your hands up.
Yeah.
How many of you are like me? You see some things on that list, you're doing pretty good. Please tell me you got one gift. We get this. We understand it. And listen, when you're hiring someone and you're going to put them in a leadership role, or you have someone on the team and you're going to elevate them into a leadership role, this is your list.
Well, she exaggerates a little.
No, she lies. She lies. She overpromises and underdelivers all the time. She's not a leader. She's got an integrity problem. Hello? You put her in the role because she can sell. Can you tell I did that? The exact thing happened. And the woman can sell ice to Eskimos. I swear to goodness, she could get in any door in America. I never saw anything like her. But she could not tell the truth. But because of the results were so fabulous on the short term, and the results were far superior to the drama created, as a young leader, I made the mistake of going, maybe she's a leader. Oh, you talk about a disaster. Because if they lie about that, they lie about everything. Hello? It's a broken place. And somebody, you can't, can they decide not to do that? Yeah, they can decide not to, but you need to have a track record of them being a person of integrity. Because I can tell you can't lead people if they don't trust you. And you only trust you if you're trustworthy. Worthy of trust. Now, why is this rocket science? Why is this so hard out there? I don't know. But it just seems like it's a revelation, isn't it? Because, when I say that out loud, you go, well, that's common sense. And when I say it out loud, I'm thinking, that's common sense, but I violated it. And I actually knew better, because I'm like an integrity freak.